Hello there.
Thursday at 2. Stats are down. Nobody's in the org. It's another good Thursday.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, stats are flat. They're down. They're horizontal, and they'll continue in that way as we continue the pressure on this crazy.
People know not to ask for time off. People know not to ask for anything, actually, because the answer is a big hell no when your stats are down. So
Right.
this is. I would imagine they've been down now for 6 months, literally 6 months.
Oh.
And they're probably in such a bad range now that even if they did pop up just a tad, like, Miami was talking about having that great week, which I don't believe, by the way. But even if it did happen, I bet you still don't get any liberty because they're going to say the range is so low.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even matter if the stats are up.
Stats are up like month on month, but compared to last year, we're eating it. And also what we projected for what this year was supposed to be with the ideal org openings like in the country and around the world, they wanted a lot more and they just didn't get it. I don't think they did.
I think they're literally down now to big donations from the rich people. Like, I think that's what Miami was showing. I don't know if you saw that picture, but it's like best week ever. Yeah.
No,
okay. So one dude gave you money, but that wasn't a bunch of students coming in. That was just some idiot giving you money.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like this seems to be true of a lot of things, that it's just the whales that are keeping it going. Like, again, at the openings, it was the same people, the same whales, the same LA types that we see there, that we saw in Austin at the opening, that we saw in Chicago. It's just, it doesn't seem like what's going on besides a bunch of people that they've roped into like some kind of prestige project for Scientology.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what I also like that no one's talking about, but we know because we've been on this. What happened to those teams that took 2 years and trained in the middle of the night so they wouldn't be around during the day? In fact, flag that are supposed to come back and make all these places great again, right? Like remember they were supposed to come back to the test center and everywhere else. These teams of 3 or 4 that were trained by Miscavige and his idiot crew to show us how it's done and get back to kicking ass. Where's that happening?
Yeah. So to get high level training and like reinstantiate the tech at these key locations and thus revitalize these locales. Yeah, it's about, I don't know, it reminds me of, the propaganda in the first Gulf War that, wait, the real fighting will start when we meet the elite Republican Guard,
I love how Scientology, though, will throw something out there, like let you know about it. And then if it doesn't work, they just clam up.
Yep.
So it's like,
next thing.
Where are these teams, that were supposed to be, they're trained, they're going to be able to handle us, no problem. Well, the windows are still frosted, the doors are closed, the blinds are on down. What changed?
Not anything. I guess this kind of messaging, like a lot of internal Scientology messaging, is for the membership more than it is meant to be a reality. It's to signal to them, we've got this, we're still in control, we're still powerful, and we've got a plan to eradicate this little blemish that you see on our back right now.
And I love it too, because there's like sometimes I can close my eyes and just think of a protest, and there's one protest where you can see like 20 selflesses and Eric's out there going, blah blah blah. But the reality is we have a ton of protests that are just like our boy in Kansas City today, right now as we speak, just chilling on a chair, or Miss Kim just chilling. Correct. And guess what? It's still closed up.
Absolutely.
We don't need teams of 300 people. We need a chair and a sign that says, you suck. That's it.
They're afraid of that enough to close the doors, enough to close the blinds, enough to bring the table inside, enough to hide the body routers as much as possible. I think for some time now, it's been no interaction with the suppressive protesters out there. Don't give them anything, and not trying to confront, not trying to anything anymore. I think we made that a little bit expensive, and we'll see how stuff works out here in Austin. I've got my next court appearance here on Tuesday for protest related activities. We'll see how that goes. And Pearls has been continued out into the second week of October.
Oh God!
So but it's for the best, as you can gather more, make a stronger case. But that case is extremely strong, in my opinion. It'll be interesting to see the outcome of both of them, and we're both becoming more and more enamored with the idea of getting back out there in some way. But for the time being, while our cases are on, we've been kind of warned off of it. So
another thing is, if their plan was what we've seen here in the last 3-4 weeks, like with we've seen Confident Chris, and like find them at these swap meets and stuff, right? Here's the thing: Scientology is for well-to-do people.
Yes.
What in the hell are you going to do when you get some 19-year-old broke dude coming off the subway? That ain't someone to pitch. Neither is anyone you go to the swap meet, in South Central to save a buck or two on your toothpaste.
Yeah.
You're not trying to find a deal on an intensive of bullshit auditing.
Right.
So I just think, honestly, they're not going to get anything from there anyway.
Right.
It's total waste of time.
Yeah, I guess. And it is a desperate move. I wonder if they're trying to go further afield to try to pick up people to rope in more permanently, rather than sell them courses. If they're going for people that don't have the money to do the coursework, then perhaps they're trying to rope you in for the, I don't know, work for coursework kind of side of it.
But I mean, that's all possible, but they never want you. They don't want to give you anything. So that's not going to work. And like in North Hollywood, where they just lied to the Latino community and literally pitched a modeling opportunity for your children.
Yes.
And then you get there and they take a picture and probably say a couple of nonsensical things. And then all of a sudden your mom's getting pitched by the registrar to buy an $80 Dynetics book. That doesn't work.
No.
That's not even close. They're not stupid at all.
No.
So, that's not going to work. I think their plans suck. I think they don't have any plans. I think they would have showed us already their hand. I think what they're going to do now is try to write some fact checks and see if they can't get some quick relief from these things, like in LA, where they're trying to, make it where you can't even protest within 100 yards or whatever, or 100 feet of a school or a church or anything. And they know that long-term won't work. No. But if it gives them some relief, so be it.
Your time until that gets brought as, like, I don't know, cases that will have to go through the entire state system probably once it's in place. So,
and that's not going to work either, because like these colleges that I'm going to be hitting here, you see thousands of kids walking. They have to cross the street. Okay, so even if we couldn't be on the same side of the street, it's not going to mean anything. I'm still going to chalk up the entire street. I'm going to have flyers absolutely everywhere. There's no way they can go back to their bus or go to their car without seeing me.
Right.
None of this shit's going to work.
No, it's not. I mean, all of their tactics work for brief periods of time, like you're capturing the week or the news cycle. I mean, reading more of the policy letters over this past week and doing some research for different things, coming across the idea of what LRH said about what lawsuits were for, and they're not to win. And he says it over and over again that is not the case. The case is to harass, to defame, to defund the individual, to make everything about what they're doing seem so expensive and awful that they just go away. So, or just waste enough time where, I don't know, with the different protesters, getting different individuals off of the street means that they can operate for a little bit of time unconfronted, I guess, without critical anything in their face. So it's right there in multiple policy letters what all of this stuff is for. And none of it has been countermanded, and I don't think that it really could be, and I don't think they'd want it to be. And every outward appearance shows that they're still operating on that level. So,
and no matter what they say, if you're putting the blinds down, like the whole point of spending ridiculous rent, right, was to have that foot traffic and be able to take advantage of it. If you're closing the blinds and shutting the doors just because we're sitting out in front, we got you. So I'm really happy that their plan so far is absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And we're going to make sure the stats continue to suck. And that's just how it's going to roll.
Agreed.
And I want to say this is a really exciting show today because we have two powerhouse mega A-listers, both survivors. And this is a hell of a show. So I think we should get to it. What do you think?
Absolutely. Yes.
All right.
And so without further ado, we're going to bring up the wonderful and unique, and I'm very proud to have spent any time here in Austin, Texas, with this individual right here in this house. Degraded Daughter. Hello.
Hi. How are you guys doing?
Doing very good yourself.
Good. I'm missing the dogs over there someplace.
Oh yeah,
teasing me. Okay. It was good memories. It was fun times.
Usually closer to the camera, but I think they're having a nap or something. Not sure.
Yeah, they're probably just chilling and being cute.
They super cute.
Yeah, they're super SPs, guys. Like their dogs, top tier SPs. I mean, out of this world. But the sweetest, cutest little snugglers too. So.
Let me ask you, do you have 10 puppies at your house right now?
I'm so good. I feel like I'm in like a recovery right now. I've got one mama dog and one kitten.
That's it?
That's it. And then my animals. But yeah, one other mama is probably getting adopted today. And then the puppies all got adopted. So like I can breathe for a minute, and then I got sick. Because what happens when kids start school? The plagues hit you. The plagues get your meat body, because that's all we are, meat bodies.
You bet.
So what have you been up to recently? I know you've been. I saw you like after Pearl Fest. You didn't do a lot of uploading, and are you busy doing something we should know about, or you just taking a break, or
just living life. I had back-to-back fosters. So the first mama dog had 7 puppies, and then they all got adopted in one night, and I had the mom, and then like a week and a half later, I took in another mom that had 10 puppies. So I was just busy. Yeah. So it's just been, a lot of bitches over here. So just hanging with the dogs.
Literally, the technical.
Literally, we're just literally hanging with the dogs and just living life. Yeah. So
sounds good.
Well, sorry that you're sick. I know that you caught the cold out there. That sucks.
It's fun times. Yeah. It's okay. I took a lot of meds because that's the good thing. We can take meds now, Eric.
I know.
Like allergy meds. What? Oh, you can take that. Yes,
we couldn't even take an aspirin 24 hours before course.
That's one of my favorite things. It's just like, oh, I have a slight headache. Here's an Advil. Here's a Tylenol. And I'm like, this is a miracle. And everybody else is like, is this new to you? And I'm like, yes, it is. Slightly. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Beautiful
would
world.
never need an aspirin if I never had to go to course again in my eyes back then, you know. I'd have traded aspirin for no course, but
True. True. But you did it right because you're like, I'm in this world. I have to kind of be somewhat good. See, you were probably one of the better kids. I was like, they'd be like, do you want to be here? You know, when you start your course, they're like, and do you want to be here? And have you slept well? And have you eaten? I'm like, no, I don't want to be here. So they'd be like, you can't be here.
Yes.
wow.
They're keeping Scientology working didn't really work. So I never I had to start some stuff, but I never got too deep into it. I don't think. I mean, you know, some of us little out ethics kids, I think we gave them a run for their money. I don't think they knew what to do with us.
The only thing I did that I didn't get caught was I was able to steal a ton of candy from the machine because my arm was tiny enough where I could just go in there and move the thing so that like the M&Ms would come forward or whatever.
Oh wow. Damn, you would have been my best friend if I knew you could do that. I'd be like, hey, come on, let's go.
Yeah, it was the other way. I was so big that I could tip the machine and
just get it going.
Yeah, just shake it times and just, you know, a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I mean, but you just exactly you have to try a little, but that's what you do when you're a kid in any kind of circumstances, much less ones that you don't really want to be in. You're like, I'm going to find my little bits of joy, and that might just be candy because sugar is also not a big thing in Scientology. They don't want you having sugar.
Right. So like sugar-free frosting on the cake. Right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You know why I was safe, Alicia, is because the everything was on the bottom floor, so no one used the stairs because they all smoked 7 packs a day, right? So we had this elevator that was so slow, like I could literally wait till the doors closed and said goodbye, and I would meet you on the 4th floor, right? I did that all the time when the doors would open, and so I had all day to steal the candy because nobody used the stairs.
You're like, I'm going to go and I'm going to do it. And no one even caught on. And you didn't write yourself up. I'm proud of you for that. That's good. That's top tier, my friend. That's top tier, like diabolical DB shit. And I love it. I'm here for it. By the way, people, I love hearing the kids that grew up in Scientology. I love hearing your out ethics stories. Please, let's make that a thing. More of it. I want to hear your naughty stuff. I want to hear how you got in trouble, what you did. I love it. Like, let's bring a little bit of humor to it, you know? And all the ways we had fun.
Triumphing over this kind of authoritarian control system, kids just like life finding a way, you know, just, you know, water finding the path of least resistance, kids finding joy however and wherever they can.
Absolutely. I think that's something I personally try to highlight a little bit. Because listen, we've all probably been pretty sad for a long time growing up in the weird world that we did. So we can be happy now and kind of joke about it and still hold people accountable.
All of it.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. All of it. But you know, it's like you can empower yourself and take back these ridiculous terms. Like I do like the word DevT. That's one I'm not letting go of. Okay. I think I haven't used it a lot because I think my husband would probably barf, but he's probably like, don't do that shit in my house. Don't do that Scientology shit in here. But it is kind of funny. It is funny though. So
for the audience though, DevT, you guys want to do a rundown?
Developed traffic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it'd be like if you were, let's say like you were doing dishes or something and I kept reaching over you to try to grab something or saying, can you pass me this or that, the other? And it would be like, you know, you're creating DevT. I heard that all the time. Yeah. It's,
I just think it's great.
I was good at creating DevT.
Well, because if you think about it, that's really just being a human being. You're just being a kid. Like you're supposed to be kind of a little bit annoying and in your parents' way, like you're a kid, you know? So like when parents say stuff like that, I'm like, oh, you mean your kid's just being a kid?
Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, clutch your pearls over here, guys. This kid is being a kid.
Yeah.
So
not exactly like all the time. Themselves maybe a little bit. Wow.
Yeah. But it is just funny because I mean the people that are really diehard Scientologists, when they talk in all Scientologies and you just sit there and you look at them and you're like, you're such a tool bag. Like, do you think you're, you know, like it's not a different language. It's not like you're smarter. right? It's not like, like I know multiple languages. Like that's like, okay, you have an intelligence, you've studied, you've learned. No, these are all made up and or perverted words that a con man made. Like, are you guys proud about that? Are you proud about a con man that you guys follow? Like,
yeah, I remember. Well, Serge was saying yesterday something like, these poor, pathetic adult people waiting around for David Miscavige to tell them how the world operates.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah. And it's sad because that's what they thought was so good 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, some of them. Yeah. And then they're still just kind of sitting there like, tell me what to do, I guess. Which way do I go? Might I speak?
You know what I always thought I thought was sad about like the Scientologies is like I could have learned to speak, French or something, and it would probably have been easier. And there's no practical application for Scientologies outside of a cult, right? I mean, that's the whole point. I think a lot of cults I've read have some of that going, but Scientology did a really effective job. This way, it keeps that bubble, and it keeps you close to yours, because those who can't understand don't need to know, and all that kind of shit. But I knew, obviously hundreds of people who could speak completely fluent Scientologies, and none of them could speak another language.
Yeah,
exactly. That's my point. Like when we were, and I grew up in inner LA until I was like 7. And so my first school that I went to, literally me and my older sibling were the only white kids there. Everybody else was Spanish. Every other kid was Spanish. So I repeated first grade because I'm real slick, but I repeated it because I didn't learn anything, because my teacher spoke and taught in Spanish. And so when we moved to the suburbs mid-year, my teacher was like, she knows like next to nothing. She's going to need to repeat. And so I'm like always the oldest in my class because I had to repeat first grade because I didn't know Spanish and I didn't learn enough of like the ABCs and all that. And of course I didn't go to kindergarten because, guys, clutch of shit. I told my mom I knew it. And as a Scientology reincarnated, of course I knew it.
Yeah,
no, I didn't know jack shit. Like, it's just so silly, the things that like they believe, and then it's like it came back and bit me in the ass, and I'm just like, yeah, it's okay, it's all right. So, I mean, at least I got some public school. That's that. I'm just happy for that.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. How long did you do public school then? From first grade?
Most of it. I only was out from I didn't go to school 8th grade, and I started 9th grade late. So that's my weird gap, year and a half. Yeah. So I went to Mojave boarding school in 8th grade. So I was sent off there as a surprise instead of first day of school in public school.
Wow.
Yeah. Fun times at Ridgemont High. Fun times. Yeah. So
what training did you do?
I did. Okay. So I didn't cooperate. So I didn't finish anything while I was there.
Yeah, no wonder I love you.
So I was a high risk, or flight risk, high risk, whatever they called it. So you go there for 10 days, then you're off for 4 days. That's your schedule. And if you live in the LA area, there's a bus that comes and picks you up because it's in the middle of the desert. It's I think 2 to 3 hours outside of LA. So it's literally in the middle of nowhere, remote desert. So you're out there learning, and then you can go home for 4 days. They did not allow me to call my parents when I got there because they didn't think it was going to be okay for me to do that. They're just trying to break me, right?
Okay.
So
right.
They're just trying to break me.
Yeah.
So if you look at it from that context, you're like, okay, they're going to break you. Okay, cool. So the first 4-day break, they did not allow me to go home because I'm a flight risk. They knew I'd run away, which I would have. If I would have known before I was going to go, I would have run away before. So it wasn't a secret that I would have just skedaddled. Right. So that's why it was a whole secret of me being, randomly going to Mojave boarding school. But it was a weird experience.
Sprung it on you because they knew it was full.
Right. Well, and it's there's too much going on. And if she knows, she'll probably run. She's talked about running away if you did. So maybe we don't push it. So, but yeah, I was supposed to do in Mojave. There's 2 different programs there. There's 2 different, they say campuses, but it's your trailer park sections. Okay. So it's trailers. Everything is in a trailer. So you're in a double wide. Your classroom's a double wide where your dorms, those are trailers. It's trailers with bunk beds and a bathroom. So there's two separate ones. I was on the first one that you go to they called it the farm. Very sweet, very cute, very demure, right? Very thoughtful. So we were at the farm. And in that, to graduate, to go to the main house, to get the perks, there's horses. That's the perks. There's a man-made lake, horses and chickens. Those are the perks. And you get to, and you actually get to study like a little bit. You still do Scientology stuff, but you get to do a little bit of schoolwork. So that's the perk, is like actually getting some study. I was supposed to do the whole Way to Happiness booklet, like a clay model of every single thing, and get a pass on it.
Oh,
jeez.
And so,
jeez,
for a really not nice teenager like myself, when I went there, I don't know if I did maybe 5 or 10 of them, and I was there for like maybe 20. I don't know if I even got a pass on them. I was there for like 6-7 months. I didn't finish that at all. So my program, because they tailor it to you, right, as a individual spirit, Thetan, what do you need? So that was what I never finished. And so the teachers would be like, didn't know what to do with me, you know, and then the freaking, not that, what I call her, I guess she was like the ethics officer there. I don't know. She was a real bitch. Fuck you, Sherry. A real fucking bitch. I don't say names very much, but I'll pop her name in because she's still out there running her shit school. So
yeah.
I think the one one's in Texas and there's another one somewhere else. But yeah, she was not very, she was supposed to be like, I guess, really strict and stern. And I don't think they knew what to do with me because they're like, well, she would say that I was flirting. I'm the only girl there. Everybody else is boys. Okay, so I'm 14. 14 going on to 15.
Jeez.
When I start. So I'm the only girl there, and I'm one of the older kids at that portion. There's girls at the main house, but during the day, you're at your own campus. You just go there for breakfast and to have your drill sergeant ask bullshit running in formation and whatnot. So it was an interesting predicament because she would say, you're talking to the boys and it's very out 2D. And I would say, talking is not sexual, so you're fucking weird. Yeah. And I do talk like that, just so you know. Like when I was a kid, I did talk just like that, like no filter to the teachers. So they didn't know what to do with me, and so I would just say, well, if I'm gonna be in trouble for existing, then I'm gonna go in my fucking dorm. So I just go and sit in my dorm all day. So like it was this back and forth between them allowing me to exist because I had breasts, and that was very out 2D.
That's terrible.
I talked. That was very out 2D. Like every single thing you can think of was just bad and wrong. And so it was just like, okay, if I'm in trouble for existing, I'm going to go sit in my dorm. But then, of course, they have to give my parents reports, and they're paying over, I think, $1,000 a month. I don't know how much it was, but I'm pretty sure it's something over $1,000 a month. And so it's like, that's a lot of money. And this was like 99 into 2000, 2001, something right now. So that's a lot of money for your kid. And then so when I did start coming home, you know, my parents were like, oh, she's probably going to be doing good. I would not talk to them. And if I did talk to them, I would just be like, fuck you, I hate you. And I would go to my room. I mean, teenage years are hard anyway, but then like that kind of was like the cherry on the top, you know? So after some time and I wasn't finishing anything, I think they kind of figured it out. Like,
yeah,
she's not going to do anything. I mean, I did make friends because I felt, you know, sad for some of the kids that were there. Some of them had like never, like, I feel like they had never had a home. Like this was a whole thing with some of the younger kids. They were just like devastated to be there. You know, I've talked about that a few times. There was like some of the younger kids that seemingly just went to like these kind of cadet schools, boarding schools, ranch schools, because there was a handful of different ones in different areas. And so one of the younger kids, when he seemed to be dumped off a little after I started. He was a little redhead kid named Evan. I think it was Evan. I can't remember, but he was always really sad. I would catch him crying, like walking around because he was walking. The dorms are on separate sides of the facility. So he was trying to walk around the campus, which is literally just a field of like debris, like trees that have been cut down, like random shit, like all hazards for kids, but we played in it. So whatever. Yeah. But he was just walking there. And so I wanted to talk to him, see like what was going on. And I was like, what's going on? Like, why are you crying? And he was like, my parents just dropped me off here. And he was just really upset about it. Like, I don't feel like he'd ever had a home. Maybe his parents were Sea Org. I don't know. Maybe they were high ranking. I have no clue. But I always felt really bad. and he was one of the younger kids, one of the younger boys. And there was a lot of boys. There's like, I don't know, 12, 14, 15 boys. And all those kids in like one or two trailers. Ooh, no thanks. Like, you know? And so they were kind of mean to him and they picked on him when he first got there. So I let every single one of them boys know that if they wanted to fuck with him, they would fuck with me first. And so I sat next to him and he was really excited because I'm the only girl there, right? So he was like, hot shit. And I was like, fine, you can put your hand on my leg, whatever. Like, because the other kids were like, fuck. And I was like, you bet your sweet ass. But it wasn't like that. I just wanted him to have a little bit of leverage with the
kids. I would do it.
Because like, I'm not there. And I would always tell him, I'm like, if you need to sneak away, you can just, I'm the only one in my trailer. Okay. So I was always telling him, like, if they're mean to you, you can come out and, you know, knock on my, it's just sliding glass door, knock on my door, and I'll go over there and I'll beat him up. Because the teacher wouldn't do anything. Okay. So that was the other thing. Like, they didn't care. They thought this was kind of just normal and like let the kids acclimate and get used to each other. So I'm like, that's not how this works. Like, right. No. You don't get to bully and pick on a little kid. So that was my most probably in-depth like view of Scientology. And I was like, these people are fucking nuts. Like, if this is learning to them, playing with clay, and I even told them that. I was like, I'm sorry, but playing with clay is not educational in any way, shape, or form. And I told them, and I'm like, and I'm also not very good at school to begin with. So you guys are fucking up my shit because now I'm going to be further behind. So I was like really panicked because I'm like, I already repeated first grade. If I go back to school now and I have to repeat another grade, like I'm going to be so much older than everybody. It was just such a, like, school was a big thing for me because I knew that Scientology didn't really value it. Mm-hmm. So I really fought for that because I was like, I need to get at least a high school diploma.
Yes.
You know, for life. You know, that's important.
Also, self-awareness at that age, I have to say, to be able to see that you're not being served, that you need more help with your education, and that there's this time domain crunch with completion, and that they're not serving you. It's a lot of self-awareness.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Scientology was always an ick to me. Like, I never liked it. I never agreed with it. It was always something that I was very much not for.
Right.
But I was allowed to not like it. Like, I know that's taboo for a lot of people because you couldn't say that in a lot of Scientology parent households, but I never liked it. I never pretended to really like it. I mean, I worked for a Scientologist chiropractor as a young adult, and that was weird. That was weird. That guy was a weird, creepy dude.
Did he actually do adjustments, or was it all touch assist level energy work style chiropractic?
No, it was the weirdest thing. So I might have been right before I got pregnant, I think, with my daughter. So I was like early 20s, and I had just gone out of massage therapy school because that's what I went to school for.
Yep.
And so, of course, and so I just was like looking for jobs. So it was random. I didn't know he was a Scientologist. He happened to be filling a spot, and I could do front desk stuff and or massage therapy. So I would be doing two things for him, right? And it was him and his wife, and it's in Clearwater. It's in Florida somewhere. I'm gonna have to go look him up to see if he's still around. But it was weird because like I was only there for a few months, and then they were like, we need to go do some training stuff. And it was like this Scientology, like, wise shit that they do to help you have better employees. And I remember being like kind of grossed out by it, but I really needed the job. And so I didn't really say much, but I was like, yeah, my parents are Scientologists, so whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think I ended up going because I think they ended up letting me go because I think they knew that I was a Scientologist, and they probably didn't want to employ somebody that wasn't like a happy participant. You know, so it was very weird.
I can see it's there's a common thread, and I'm so happy that you're like this too. But like how you stuck up for that kid, right? That's just so awesome. And I think when you come out with like Scientology makes you get to see so much bad happen and see them treat people like shit.
Yeah. That
when I went back to school at Apple School, which was supposed to be a Scientology school,
right,
but wasn't, it was complete nonsense. But they didn't know shit about Scientology. But anyway, like I immediately, I was the quarterback. Like, I mean, I went right to the top of that fucking place, right? So like,
right.
It was, I had no issues with anybody. People wanted to be my friend, right? So like on PE, for instance, right? I
Mhm.
immediately started picking this one kid who had seizures all the time. And so people treated him like he was like some kind of pot,
like an outcast, right? Like they just didn't want to deal with him. Yeah.
And he would always just be looking down because he's going to be the last one picked, right? So I always picked him first, and then whoever was the captain of the other team would be picking someone good, and then I always picked this other girl who she was a really big girl, and she caught she didn't want to be, and she felt outcast and stuff, and she was part of my like book club and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, I always picked her next. And so what happened was we ended up with this like Globetrotters, like the worst ever. Like I had 6, 7 people on my team. And I would always say, shoot it, right? And every single one of them wouldn't hit the backboard to shoot, go in the parking lot, down the hill. No one could, but I would just go shoot that fuck. And it was just, and it was the most fun we ever had. People now wanted to be on my bullshit team, but I'm like, you're too good. Get out of here.
Good, get out.
And I would never shoot it, right? I would just go dribble around, and then whoever's open, I'm like, shoot it. It was so much damn fun. But it was the same flow that I felt from you when you were saying that, which was like, no one's going to do that shit with me here.
Right.
That stopped today. Stopped today.
I think that's probably what we get along to, Eric. Like, they didn't break your spirit.
No, hell no.
You're still here, and you're still saying, fuck you. I don't agree with that. Keep your ugly bullshit to yourself. Like, I don't need to sit here and pretend anymore. Like, and similarly, you didn't speak out until your family passed away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I didn't speak out until my mom passed away. I mean, I I didn't care about everybody else, I guess. No, I just mainly cared about her because I knew that she was terrified about this connection. Even though it doesn't exist anymore, guys. It doesn't exist. But, she was petrified of it. So, I kind of bit my tongue. I say bit my tongue. I didn't do anything public, right? Everybody was not thinking I liked it. It wasn't a secret. It was never a secret. It was pretty out in the open, to be honest. I'm always like, are you guys really surprised? Because, if you look up, Out Ethics, I think there might be a picture of me in here. Like, people like that. Freaking, the kids that just we didn't obey. We didn't get broken.
Yeah, I think it's because you knew better. Like, you somehow were smart enough to know it was all bullshit anyway. Like, I know how adults would look at you back then, right? Especially Scientological, And by the way, I got half a feeling that teacher of yours had the hots for you and was some kind of pedo or something, because why would she say any of that shit? It doesn't make a lick of sense.
She's a strange bird.
But out 2D shit.
Oh, everything was out 2D. Now, I thought you meant my actual teacher, because my actual teacher was a man, and he did talk to me about sex all the time. Very often.
Well, no, the lady.
So there's that, too. I don't know. Yeah, it's a whole
weird thing. That doesn't even make any sense. Like, you didn't do anything.
There's so much projection, too, within Scientology people who, deeply feel it. And, I'm a bubbly person, right? So when I was talking to the kids, when I finally did open up, I'm not going to just go in there and just be a complete jerk to kids for no reason. Now, I will say, the boys wanted to try to test some shit, right? Like, there was some kid from Australia there. Lance was always trying to start some shit, be a little cheeky, and I'd always be like, I will fuck you up. I have 3 brothers. I am not worried about it. Let's go outside, we can go scrap in the dirt. It's all just dirt out there. So to me, I was always offering ass whoopings, right? I'm like, here we go. We're boarding school. Because to me, I felt like it's do or die for me, because I'm by myself, and I am surrounded by Scientology, and there's no way to get away from it.
Right.
Because I thought about running away, but you're in the middle of nowhere.
Really dangerous, right?
Yeah. It's just there's truckers that kind of come through there, but I was like, that might be worse. I don't know where I'm going to end up in a ditch somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a plan. It was a plan, though. It was a very big thought, and it could have worked because I was by myself in my dorm. So sneaking out would have been actually very easy, because it wouldn't have been me waiting for anybody to go to sleep or me worrying about somebody else getting in trouble for me. I was by myself in that dorm.
A long time before anybody would have noticed, right? So yeah.
Well, the next morning, because we have to go for morning muster, and you do all your exercises, because we have to load the van and go to the other main house, the other facility. There's 2 separate ones. So it would have been till morning, but by that time, hopefully it would have been somewhere out of I will say this. There's a lot of kids that I have talked to since that have tried to run away, or that was a thought of theirs. So this is a very common theme amongst some of the kids that went there. And one of the other fun things is that since that was like kind of ex-nayed because safety reasons, I was looking at all their rules because they have a lot of bizarre rules. No TV, no radio, no sugar, no video games, no outside influences, like nothing while you're there.
Fun.
And you can't date people that go to school there. So I was like,
wow, it's like Bob.
All right, check that box. So then when a new kid started, and we were kind of sort of liked each other, I was like, hey, I'm gonna date you to get kicked out. And he didn't care, and he did, but I'm like, you're so dumb, you don't even get it. Like, because he was just so no real world experience. But I think where I fucked up is if I really wanted to get kicked out for dating somebody, I should have dated a girl.
Right.
They would have lost their shit, and it would have been beautiful, because what are they going to say? Oh my God, your daughter's a lesbian. She definitely can't come back. Like, they wouldn't have known what to do. And I totally would have. I don't know if anybody else that was there would have, but like, it wouldn't have been a big deal to me, because if I got the end result that I wanted, down, let's do it. Like, even if they thought that was happening, they would have lost their shit. Like, that's the funny part. Even if they just thought that was happening, they really would have just like not known what to do.
Yeah, what is that? Sealed hostility? What is that? What is it called?
Oh, covert hostility.
Covert. Yeah. Right. Yeah, you would be covertly hostile. Mm-hmm. Be so low. Absolutely.
You'd be below body death.
Yeah.
And it would have been great, because they wouldn't have ever. And see, this is the thing where I kind of teetered. I was like, okay, so I dated this kid, but no one really found out, so I didn't really even backfire. I was like, this is so lame, like, guys. And like, you tell a few kids, because you know that these kids write each other up. I don't believe in that, but I know that these kids do. Like, some of them do. So like, come on, you know,
get me out of here.
Yeah, I mean, so I left after like 7 months, I think it was, and I think my parents just kind of realized like me and theirs relationship was like worse than ever.
Right.
Like, I mean, what do you expect though, you know? So.
And you know how like the parents think that their kids are actually soaking this shit up and they're gonna use it. Where I had I went to camp in Catalina for a couple weeks every summer. 11, 12, 13. And a friend of mine who was a child Scientologist, and his little brother, you know, they had the same, you know, they knew about knowledge reports and all that, obviously. But it was so funny how like everything went out the window for those 2 weeks. Like his little brother would go, "Oh, I'm going to write you up." And he's like, "I'm going to kill you." You know? And so don't worry about it.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw you in one of these boar caves, okay, long before anyone gets that knowledge report. You know,
kids in the 80s and 90s were vicious as fuck. Okay, and then Scientology kids, holy shit, those are the meanest little fuckers. They go for the jugular and they'll rip it open and let it have a slow bleed while everyone comes and looks and laughs. Like, it is the most asinine, but it's also kind of encouraged in Scientology to like kind of be a dick, right? Like, as long as you're top dog, it's good.
It sounds like prison law.
Never got that.
Yeah.
You know, like, you go after the meanest, biggest one on your first day in the yard and you punch him in the face, and then nobody's going to mess with you.
Except for with these kids, they would keep doing it. And I would always be like, because I never wanted to go, like, when we'd have babies, if we'd have to go to like the daycares and stuff that like were Scientology run. It wasn't often, but when we did, I would cry the whole car right there and be like, I hate it. And like make it so fucking miserable for my mom, because she didn't want to put us there anyway. But like as a kid, I'm like, no, right? And so it was never fun. But I was like, why were these kids such vicious little fuckers, right? Because I was also in like public school most of my life. And yeah, there's some kids that are annoying, but like usually if you tell them like leave me alone once or twice, they chill, right? Like they, you know, whatever. Every now and again, you have to kick them their nuts. I did that a few times to a few boys that were bullies, and whatever. You gotta kick them in the nuts, you gotta kick them in the nuts, whatever. Like they live and they learn. You fucked around, you found out. Knock it off.
Yeah.
I'm not one that's gonna sit around and think it's cute.
Maybe
but it's funny. Scientology kids are so vicious.
Because
it's the misplaced anger. It's the misplaced anger. That's what I think it is. I think it's all the anger that they didn't understand why they weren't cared for, why they weren't loved, why they didn't have a normal, and I hate the word normal, but why they didn't have a well-adjusted, normal-esque upbringing to where their needs were a priority, not Scientology. Because think about it. If your parents are a good Scientologist, they can't be good parents. because Scientology comes first. Period.
So can't nurture you through the different developmental stages so that you can hit kind of like the general markers for kind of a healthy psychological makeup. They can't possibly. And I think your point's exactly right, that the way kids are raised within this makes it such that you just train kids and you train their brains to be this mean and to live by survival instincts.
Yeah.
By fight or flight, and by turning that instinct more into fight than flight.
Yeah, right. And it's sad because I will say I was public, so like I got a lot nicer, easier, gentler version of the Scientology-esque, and I do fully know that. And a lot of the other like family friends that we had that were also public were not as bad. But like when we would go to like the events and you're in that kid room with all those fucking kids, Eric, did you go to those? Like when you were a young kid, did you go to the events?
I was with my parents, and I was up in, like, it was different for me because, like I said, I was more highly trained, than half the people in that tent, so, or in the Shrine Auditorium. So
right.
It was different for me. I never got to deal with any kids ever. I was always the youngest
lucky.
guy I knew was 38,
Oh wow, so, you're lucky. So sometimes I would go and sit with them when I would get so upset about being with the kids. But I always would say this. The kids would all be screaming, crying, snot all down their face. Like, and I always say this, why are all these Scientology kids always fucking sick? Well, they're anti-vaxxers. They don't believe in medicine and all that. And then they're always around each other. So it's like you're just passing sickness and illness. Yep. And they're also just like not in a home environment. Sometimes a lot of them, like if they're in a daycare all day with parents or either on, at work or in the Sea Org or whatever they're doing, then they're not getting any kind of, parent and, like one-on-one attention. So I would always say that. Like, it's so gross.
Which will, knock down your immune system. If you're not getting regular sleep and you're overworked and you're overstressed, you're not being nurtured as a kid, you're always looking for the next hit to come, the next shoe to drop.
Right.
That's going to be sicker time.
And then if you're sick, what did you do to pull it in? So it's kind of this revolving circle of just the fuckery of Scientology. Is like every single thing is somehow your fault. And so that's why at boarding school when everything was my fault. I was like, okay, I'm removing myself from the situation. Have fun. I'm going to go sit in my dorm.
Yep.
You can go fuck yourself. And I just don't think they know how to deal with kids like that now. There were kids that were rowdy too and got the shit beat out of them at other schools. So I will also preface that. I just was lucky that I wasn't at one that the teachers didn't get physical, at least when I was there.
Right.
But there were other ones where that did happen. So
yeah, I understand. I mean, I wonder if they profile the entire family for placement into these different levels of schools, like to gauge kind of what the kid and what the family will withstand as far as the severity of the training and the punishments.
Could be. This was like a time though when there was the cadet schools, there was the ranch schools, there was the boarding schools. So I think the cadet schools, right, and that's still out there in Clearwater, auditing young little babies who have no understanding.
I always looked at us like we were about to bust. Like my sister was always that way. I was always that way, and it's just like if you're always anxious or fearful, the other side of that coin is I'm going to blow up, and you got a problem on your hands,
Yeah.
Yep.
And but it did make like normal situations where a kid, like I remember my third or fourth day at Glendale High School, some kid didn't like me, knocked my books out of my hand, and I beat the dog shit out of him.
Damn,
right there in front of everybody. Okay.
Damn.
And I went right to we were in the principal's office, and he was saying, well, I might be expelled. And I'm like, well, this was quick. But because I was but the kid that I beat up, he actually completely 100% copped to it and said, hey man, it was totally on me. And he even apologized to me a couple weeks later on campus. And I got this guy's respect and all his friends' respect, just like you were talking about. It was just, we're not having this. I've been pushed around way too much, and I'm going to clock you 17 times.
Right.
And let's see what you think about that. Because I didn't care. Like, you know what I mean? You carry around all that, and when it pops, you don't give a shit.
Yes, yes, that's so funny. I didn't know you went to Glendale High. I used to be a cheerleader, and I used to practice at Glendale High when I was in middle school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I went to CV, so I didn't go to there, but I did practice in their football stadium. So
Yeah. So that, I mean,
well,
I thought I was going to be thrown out immediately.
If you go to Glendale High too, you kind of have to have a little bit of a backbone.
Well, I mean, it was you remember I mean, if you do, at least when I was there, it was 98% Armenian. I mean, you know, everyone's name ended with Jian, you know, and I had so many good friends there. And the other thing about the Armenians that I really liked too, they were like, again, almost mafioso in the way that they're so familiar. Like family is everything. And they're very, very nice. But you fuck around, you'll find out within minutes. You don't have to wait for tomorrow. We're going to find out now. So it was a different culture that way than I was used to.
Right. And I think that for me personally is kind of a thing that was very helpful, is being having a foot in the real world and going to regular school and being with regular kids, because it's almost probably similar to kids that are like foreigners, right? Because they speak a different language. They have a different than what everybody else does, but you learn to do both. Like you learn to either, because you can speak Scientologies when you need to, you know what I mean? If you're in that situation, but you put it away so that the kids at regular school don't know that like you have this weird scarlet letter, like, oh, don't let them know.
I never let anybody know.
I didn't either. There's people that I've known since I was in middle school that are like, wait, where did you go in 8th grade? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I was to boarding school, bro. Like, you didn't know? I was like a badass kid that got sent off. They're like, what? They're like, I didn't know where you went. And then he just came back. And I always thought that people thought I got pregnant and just got sent off. Because after I came home, my mom worked at Delphi, and I just ended up going to school with her, but not as a student. So her teacher that was in the room with her had a young infant baby. I ended up babysitting her infant baby from when he was like 3 months old to when he was over a year. So I was always just walking around the streets of La Cañada. And then when school was out, I'd be at home with a baby on my hip, just walking around my neighborhood. And so I was like, people are going to see me and assume that I just got knocked up. Because, like, you know, why else would some girl just randomly leave for like a year and then comes back and he's here with a baby? And he looked like me, you know? So I was just like, that's a better thing for them to believe than to know that I went to boarding school. It's like,
I'd rather have them believe anything on earth than I was a Scientologist. I'm not kidding. I would be like, yeah.
I honestly was like, I'm just not going to say anything. And I'm just going to like believe whatever you want. Make up the story that suits your fucking narrative, buddy.
Yep.
That's like one or two of my friends knew, because like I would write them because I was so lonely, but I didn't write them and send it because, you know, they would read your mail, because you can't send stuff from the boarding school because they would read it to make sure it didn't say anything bad about them. So when I would
oh my God.
Right. So I would go home and have all these like letters written. This is okay. Listen, I was the only girl in my family. I have 3 siblings that are all brothers. I got diaries and stuff as birthday gifts randomly, because I think people just think girls want diaries. I was petrified to have a diary.
Right.
Petrified, because they would, if anybody found that in the Scientology world, I'd be fucked.
Yep.
They'd see that I did something bad, or see that like, and it would be used against me for forever. So to me, I always was like, keep it shut, keep it down. Like, don't say anything about anything bad that happens, because it'll still be your fault. Right. And then you're processing the trauma that happened, and then you're in trouble for it. So I was always just like, anything bad that happened, I would just figure it out on my own. Like you said, Eric, I'll just figure this out on my own. If I get in trouble, I get in trouble, but let's see what happens first. Like, yeah, because going straight to them is going straight to like Scientology, and Scientology is never going to help you. It's just going to blame. Yeah, exactly. And once you have a time or two or something big that you do confide in the Scientologist person and it backfires, I think like that was all it took for me. Like, I don't need to be, I won't do that again. Like, that was one and done. I will not. No. It's cool. Yeah.
I have to imagine some people never figure that out, though, even though they have these examples and get screwed over and over and over again for major life things, and they're still there and they won't move.
I agree. It's kind of like this. It's like they're opening their own wound repeatedly, right? It starts to heal, and then you just do something bad again, and it's like, but again, in their mind, they're thinking they're doing the right thing. And this is probably why people lose their mind and kind of have, like go, type 3 and like lose it. Like this is probably why, because it's always somehow you. And they don't believe in mental health, and their mental health is obviously getting fucked with at a horribly intensive, invasive way repeatedly. I mean, it's just like this insane amount of pressure all the time just to exist. And it's like, you could have a day off. You don't have to do something. You can just be a human being and go do nothing. But people that are like if they've been in a Sea Org, it's very hard for them to know how to relax, be calm, be chill. It's sad. Yeah. It's very sad. That was something I noticed with my mom when she would stress out. She would just clean and like rage clean, and then it'd be like,
yep.
Because it's like that was like what she did in the Sea Org was, and it's like, and I would say that, and I'd be like, just go sit down. No, this needs to get done. There's like 20 other people that can do it. Like, it's okay. Just sit down, But
yeah, the mental
there's definitely some stuff that I have found very
terrible,
helpful, and and it's sad because like as a kid I probably wouldn't have those words. I knew it was dangerous, but I couldn't like elaborate the why. I knew it made me feel weird and uncomfortable, and like I was just some horrible
these different things, and have not line up at all, and knowing after a time being forced to knowingly go along with lies is so stressful, and especially for a young person that figures this out. It's crushing that like life is like this, and that things don't line up, and not only that, they won't.
Yeah, I know, because failure is not an option, so you're never really shown how to fail and how to have grace and how to just be like, hey, I fucked up. That is one thing I have noticed as anybody that's hardcore into Scientology. They never admit they're wrong, and they'll blame.
Yeah.
Well, nothing happens by accident in Scientology. So it's your out ethics that is the root cause of everything that was less than desirable that ever occurred near or around you. I mean, it's just such a joke. So what idiot? I mean, I don't care. I could have been the dumbest person on earth, and I would have been like the second or third time through ethics, I'd be like, okay, I get it. I'm screwed.
Yeah.
That's just I'm screwed. And that's why I was saying when I first got to this movement, the real abuse starts when the hope ends. And they get you in that spot. And the thing is, some people like Alicia and myself, we go one way, but a lot of kids, might be the exact opposite and just
100%.
Internally combust, but either way you go, beating up people or whatever, or internally combusting, none of these are good. And none of us want to be in those spots. And we become very reactive, right? Mm-hmm. And triggered, easily triggered. Exactly. And it's like people don't know, that kid that I kicked, that ass I kicked, he had no idea that was coming. He just picked the wrong dude. And he knew I had no friends, and he had 100 friends, right? So he felt real comfortable being a dickhead. But he had no idea who he was messing with.
Exactly.
So, because I couldn't have cared less.
Right, because you didn't care what it was or who it was.
Give a crap.
It doesn't matter. It's just that you came and messed with me, and I'm going to show you that that's not how it.
We're not doing that. That's not happening. And it's that's the damage though. That's like, so you can't even tell the kid is that damaged until they finally break.
Yes.
And then you have a clue.
Right. Which is the saddest thing, right? You have to wait until it gets so bad and deteriorated and combust. And then you can go in, and if you have someone that has any kind of not Scientology views, they can look at mental health and be like, why would this be your reaction? Why is this your first, why would this be your first thing? And I'll tell you a funny story. When I was in elementary school, my older brother was in like 5th, 6th grade. There was a kid that was bullying him all year, and I would hear about it, and we would walk home together. After school one day, we met up. My brother was there, the bully was there, and I had heard about it. I think I was in maybe 1st or 2nd grade because I was, again, held back. And I don't know what he was saying, but I think I might have said, leave my brother alone. And then I kicked him in the balls. Just kicked him right in the fucking balls. And he coughed and like bent over and like cried. And we just walked home and I never talked about it. And my mom found out about that years later. Cause again, like you said, Eric, you handled it and it's done. Like that's it.
Yeah.
So she found out about that story years later, and it became like a favorite story, which is so weird and bizarre. But like, also it's kind of funny. Like, yeah, we'll get him. And she was like, "Why did you how did you know to do that? You were so young." And I was like, "I had kicked other people in the balls before."
Yes.
Because men were scary to me because I'd already been assaulted by this point. So to me, like, this is like a no holds bar. Like, I'm not even going to think that I'm not going to allow someone to think that I am weak. And I put quotes because that's not weak, but people think they can push certain people around.
Absolutely.
And so I told her that. I was like, was this not something that you would have thought of when you were a kid? And she's like, no. Oh, because you were not raised in Scientology. That's why. Yeah. There you go. But it was like such a reflection thing for her because it made her kind of like, oh, right? Because like she didn't look at it like that. Whereas to me,
I cite who's been kicking a tree their whole life. So,
yeah. It was just like, I don't know. I was like, I'm little and I'm a girl. And I know that like sometimes that's not good with certain people around that are creepy. And we know in Scientology, it's okay for adults. It doesn't matter the age to be inappropriate or creepy, right? Because kids don't exist.
They're not kids. Yeah.
Right. And so like if an adult was picking on a kid, it really wouldn't be frowned upon as it would in the real world, right? Because you'd be like, why are you a grown adult picking on a child? But in Scientology, it did not matter. So to me, I was kind of looking at it as like fight or flight. Like, so to me, I didn't think it was a story I needed to say because I didn't want to get in trouble for kicking him, but I didn't regret kicking him. And I would.
Plus, we were taught to be to like basically be unreasonable. Mm-hmm. Right. So like when my mom asked me how come I didn't let the kid up and I just continued to beat his ass is because I was pissed off.
Yeah.
It really had nothing to do with it. He just picked on the wrong guy at the wrong time. Right. And I wasn't thinking, oh, this is going to put me in a good spot throughout the school or anything like that. I was just like, oh, this is fantastic, and just kept smashing away on him until finally a teacher did something because the kids weren't. And they were just like, holy shit. But I gave him a good 6 or 7 more than he needed. But the point was that everyone was been unreasonable to us for so long that it's like, now we're going to be unreasonable to somebody else.
Right.
That's really how I looked at it when, after it happened.
Yeah. Right. Like as you're an adult, you can see it in a different lens. Like for them, it was probably survival and you just making sure that you weren't going to be picked on and a victim. Because again, that's not a good thing in Scientology.
No.
Which is sad because you don't control if something just randomly happens. We're not in control of every single thing, but they think that you are. And so that's kind of drilled into your head. So I can see how that would be a interesting intersection as an adult to look at. And that's been something that I look at. Because if I see a kid reacting or acting out in this way, I'm going to want to talk to them and be like, hey, is everything okay? What's going on? Because normally kids don't just, there's some kids that'll pick on and, different personalities for sure. But, just to have that much angst in you, like.
Oh, no, the most violent kids that I ever knew in school were getting it at home. They reflected the violence that existed in their lives, and they were actually tough because they were getting knocked around by a grown person. Yeah, and so these kids around high school or whatever wouldn't scare them, right? Because they had already faced down something much scarier.
Right.
And generally, those were the kids that I knew that were always in fights all the time. We're getting at it. So the same thing with any kind of abuse, really, and neglect will do the same thing. Just ignoring the darn kid will not properly socialize somebody, and it's in some cases worse than hitting them, depending on the severity of the neglect. The emotional neglect will lead to just improper development of everything in your
emotional.
Right. That's for sure. Hey, before we forget, we're at an hour and 5 minutes, and our other guest has been back there for 55 minutes, which we really ought to do something about.
Yeah.
So, because I could talk to Alicia, like I said, we were backstage, and I said, well, I could roll with you guys till 11:30 tonight. So, but
yeah, this was super fun.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and believe me, I got to talk to you some more too. So you're not off the hook. I'm going to put you on one of my other fucking shows, and we can do another hour because I got more to talk to you about.
I love you. I just think you're the coolest. So just know.
I appreciate that so much. You're so awesome.
Comments, guys, mind your fucking business. I love my dude. He's an awesome dude. I try to talk to him today, I think we have kindred spirits. We've got much to talk about. Clearly.
For real. I'm going to hit you up on an email. We're going to do something else because, like I said, I need 2 hours with you by myself just to get through about 3% of what I want to talk to you about. So
seriously, that's true. Yeah, it gets a little degraded. We have to really go through the levels of degradedness. So,
but thank you so much for being here. I was so excited to talk to you, and it's just really a huge pleasure for me.
Absolutely, I'm so glad you're here. So
thank
glad.
You.
Yeah,
thank you.
Love you.
Love you too.
And get well.
Will do.
Get well.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye. Fantastic.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, absolutely great in-depth conversation about what it is growing up at the tender age of like adolescence generally and being exposed to that.
That made me feel so good when she said she stuck up for that dude, because I turned the whole, you're talking about rich kids at Apple School, right? I mean, Bodie Elfman, Olivia Dabo, remember the blonde girl on Wonder Years, the sister?
Yeah.
Okay. She went there. I saw Lisa Marie there. I saw these people have money. Okay. And so they treat people like shit.
Yo.
And
I went to a school like that.
I turned it completely around where now people couldn't wait to invite them to parties and stuff that they never got invited to, all that kind of shit. And I would say I'm not coming if they're not coming.
Right, exactly.
That's it.
Nice.
Advertising
the thing. Yeah.
Because I hated that shit. So
it's a real party when everybody's there and throwing down. That's you've got it right.
It was, and that was all because of just being around the caustic bullshit and like when you see people treated that way, I don't know why, but in your head you just go, oh my God, like if there's a way I could stop that from happening and not lose my family, you better believe it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what school allowed me to do. Allowed me to take care of some shit like that, and actually put together a nice, again, like it became really, it was okay to be an egghead or not be an athlete. I'm like, cause I was an honor student who was starting quarterback. Right. So I had it down pat backwards and forwards. So I was able to mix those people that really sort of never were like oil and water. And guess what? Everyone got along. Everyone loved each other. They just didn't give each other a chance, right? Because you're not as good looking, or you're poor, or you got a problem. And I'm just like, I'm poor and got a problem.
Yeah.
And if you give them a problem, then you've got a problem.
So you just those like Breakfast Club type categories that people self-sort into in high school and got everybody just seeing each other for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing how people just do it to themselves. They see these roles and they put on the clothing, and then you're waving a pennant for a team that you really don't know the meaning of, and you're otherizing like just a whole bunch of people who you'd otherwise just have a good time with.
Yeah. And plus everyone really was great when you gave them a chance, and, but like I said, it was like a school for good looking, well-to-do people or something. Right. I mean, that's sort of how I looked at it. And I'm like, well, I'm none of these fucking things, but yet I'm running this show. Right. So, but I really loved hearing that. And I think that I bet you that's a trait that a lot of people have after they come out of some super high control horse shit, you know? But anyway, we have another guest that is absolutely spectacular, and I'm super excited to have on.
Absolutely.
And sorry it took so long. I effed that up, but I'm good at that. So.
Right. So yeah, without further ado, the awesome, one of the Austin OG protesters here, and looking forward to seeing you more often in the protesting world. AccuPunk, come to the stage.
Hi.
Can
you guys hear me? I know I have just my laptop.
Loud and clear.
Perfect.
Coming through great.
And I know I'm backlit, but my battery was dying, so I actually had to move somewhere to be able to plug it in. So
I'm so sorry. Sorry.
No. It was a great conversation.
Nice,
yeah,
it was fun.
Yeah.
But thank you for being here. I was so excited when I got your confirmation. I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So,
thanks for the invitation.
This is really cool for me. And I was watching one of your streams with Rika, and it was one of my and that was really fun too, because that was one of those ones when you watch 1,000 hours of these streams, right, you forget where certain things are. But I remember when Rika was because her laugh was so hysterical anyway, but they were doing the speaker tech, and that guy was putting up but he couldn't get it to work, and she kept laughing at him. Oh, that was so fun. But
he was trying
to you guys talk,
and it ended up being less.
What's that?
Oh, I was making a joke out of one of the songs that they were probably trying to play.
Oh, right.
You can be more, and they were in fact being a lot less.
Yes.
Yeah.
He kept coming out and trying to turn that shit on, and it just wouldn't work. And Rika just kept laughing at him.
I mean, when I was there, the Portland, I had this because I was like, okay, I'm driving cross country, going to Oregon, right, this summer. And I had this, it was just all up in my head, when you have a plan, but then the execution of the plan is like, oh, wait, I have a 13-year-old kid with me. It's summer. It's hot everywhere.
Yeah.
You can't just sit in the car. So it was like a horribly poor, I had I was planning on going to, I did go to Portland, but then I was going to go to San Francisco. I was going to go to LA. I did go to Las Vegas, but I didn't end up protesting because it was like, I can't pay for a hotel room for my 13-year-old to hang out at while I'm protesting. He had nothing to do. It was just really poorly planned. Like when we were at Portland, we were there staying at a hotel already. So he had a place to be with our friends. But
cool.
Yeah. So it was it was great. The thought was great, and it was not executed. so I protested in Portland, and I was as far as me and protesting though, I was going for a quick 2 weeks to Oregon. I ended up being gone for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I got back and I was watching a stream that Nora did, and it was about the trigger. And so Selfless, you remember after one of those nights, it was I was so when we had all the, the fire trucks and and it was I heard Nora saying it's triggering, it's traumatic for me to go there. And I was like, oh my gosh. And as much as I love every style of protesting, there are ways that for me I don't even realize it at the time, but yelling and stuff like that is triggering for me because that's the household I grew up in. Present time. Oh. My mother, that was just, and just yelling in general. And so it's I wasn't even aware of how triggered. And then I also have lymphedema, which is, unless I'm you've seen my protests, I would try to stay walking because otherwise just everything pools and I can't, I wear compression, but it doesn't, it's secondary from an injury from when I was young. But just it's so hard on my body, and the heat, you know, once the heat
Uh.
came, it was like I need to pivot. I need to do something else to help the movement, because
Yeah.
I mean, once the weather gets cooler, I can you know, go out there again. But
I'm so excited because it's starting to break.
Yes.
I'm really excited to get back out. And guess what? All my chalk, remember from a week ago, out in front of the college, if anyone saw that, my last time I was out there, I just drove by there yesterday, and I think they ripped off most of the flyers, except one is one of those ones that remember I put 700 staples in, and it's the one that Sharks gave me, those what do you call it, where they're in between that plastic. So
they're coated. You mean they have the plastic?
yeah, there's like, it's like how licenses, like driver's
I
licenses
don't know
used to
why.
be
Yeah, laminated.
laminated.
I'm like, the word is escaping me.
And so I put like 75, staples in there. So you need a tool to get this off. The Hulk can't take this off with your hands. No
Yeah.
chance in hell. So you need a tool of some sort to get under there, and then,
To take it off.
so it's still there, which is fantastic. So that's all I'm going to put up there when I go to protest.
Yes.
I'm going to put, and then I'm going to chalk I'm going to walk around that entire son of a gun and chalk the hell out of it. I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait, because it was so hard on me before, the 100-degree bullshit, that
Oh, yeah.
I'm just trying not to die. So it's going to be nice to actually protest and enjoy it,
Yeah,
Oh my gosh,
indeed.
you guys, when I went to Vegas, like I drove by in Vegas and it was like 108 degrees. And I was just like, because we actually had a hotel that
Yep.
a friend of mine paid for in Vegas. And I was like, I'm not going to do this. Like, I'm not going to, I just couldn't. And I really also in Vegas, I didn't really understand. I don't know if you guys have been to the org or outside
Yeah.
of Vegas, but it's like, there's this weird parking lot. And I was like,
Mhm.
I don't even know exactly where to be. Like, I
Where
really
the property line is, you mean? Or
like, because the building is set far back. Like,
okay. So it's
So it's like I could be on, I guess, the street. I didn't,
right.
or maybe I was in the back. I don't know. I was very confused about.
You must have been in the back, yeah, because you can
Yeah.
come in the back and you're still 200 yards from the entrance. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really bizarre how that's set up. But there was 4 cars there. I mean,
Yeah, seriously.
what?
Yeah.
I
It's
love
like
the
no
fact
one
that
there.
between Vegas and Phoenix, there's 4 cars.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, Eric, that I, watching your the interview you did with growing up in Scientology. I mean, I was like in tears. It's amazing because even though, in some ways I'm like, I have what do they call it? Imposter syndrome, because it's like I didn't grow up, in Scientology.
Thank God.
Even though I was born into, my family being in it, but it's just still so many similarities of experiences with like wanting a family, wanting, like there's just, it was,
That was a hard interview, man. That kicked my ass. That kicked my ass. But I knew it was also my opportunity to really make damn sure people realized, for one, and that's why I let people know a lot more shit about me too. But to let people know, it's absolutely devastating if you're not on staff, if your family's not in the Sea Org. I wanted to show how you're literally isolated and alone. I could have been in Siberia for F's sake, and I would have felt about the same, as far as who can help me, who gives a shit, who understands, who cares. The answer is nobody.
Yeah.
Right. So to live like that day after day after day, some people may be strong enough to do that. I'm not. I had to create, personalities, which is what I think all that shit's for anyway, but just to survive.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you could have made me look at that shit and then I could still operate.
Yeah.
I'd have just broken down. So I had that, like I said, I had that smiley, palm pressing, all good dude that I could tap
I was the
into.
opposite. I was like, hair covering my face, like combat boots and just, like, yeah, trench coat.
Yeah. I had to make that guy up though, because don't forget, if I didn't have that dude, I'd have been in ethics every day.
That's right. Well,
Yeah,
there you
and
go.
see, that's
Create
what I
that guy.
didn't
Personality.
experience. Like I mean, I don't understand how. I mean, I don't know if it was just my father that was doing Scientology, because like he went to work. He worked, for a metal sculptor, and so like he was gone early in the morning. I mean, I never saw him, and then I think he just went and would do Scientology until the evening. So I just never saw him. And then when I did, it was like he was a weird, like, he would like do the bull baiting with me, but I never did Scientology. Like, I mean, I don't even I just
like basic TR rundowns with you, kind of TR training.
But I was never told it was Scientology. I think
wow.
if you watch the thing, like I didn't find out really that my parents were in Scientology. It was in, when was that ex-Scientology Kids website? Whenever that was up, I was like up late one night going down the rabbit hole, and I was reading on ex-Scientology Kids, and it was describing a touch assist.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, that's weird. I taught my son that. I didn't know that was Scientology. Like, there's all these little things that I found out when I was older that were Scientology, like the whole present time thing, like my mother yelling that all the time to my father. And like, and then actually, well, also we have 5 kids in my family, but they're all from different parents and they're all weird. And I mean, my older brother, they're like 8 years older than me. My older sister is 9 years older than me. And so I think that my father got into Scientology when he was in Rochester. He went to RIT in Rochester, New York. And then they moved out. And I think they were trying to start this like hippie commune, independent Scientology thing in Naples, New York. And anyone watching, I mean, I know these people are all old now. My parents are like, my father was born in 45. My mother was born in 40. So like they're up there. I mean, there's so much about my childhood that I just don't know about. So I was born in 75 in this commune in Naples, New York. And then, but my older brother, he was kidnapped by his father, taken to Israel. Then when somehow my father, like they recruited him, and he had done LSD. So I think that is the only reason he did not. I am 100% sure my father would have jumped on that Sea Org like contract. He would have been all over that. But like we moved to Buffalo, New York, so that my father could help build the org there, like either with either doing electrical and like woodwork and stuff like that. And I mean, we were living, so I hear, because I was a toddler and my sister was an infant, because this was 77. And like my older brother talks about, so I have 2 brothers, one was 5 years older, and he had like a pet cockroach, and we lived in this apartment building with this. He talks about this dwarf that lived above us, and he would like throw candy to kids like out on the street. Like, I don't know, like it's all these weird stories. But then, so that brother who is taken to Israel, was dropped back off. So he's 8 years older than me. And when we were in Buffalo, and so I'm like, so that's 70. I'm like 2, and he said that the only good thing that our mother ever did for him was take him to Scientology. I hadn't spoken to him. So I'm wondering, because I just talked to him like last summer for the first time since we were kids.
Wow.
And so I'm like, he's saying Scientology. I haven't spoken to him. I'm like, he could, because then we haven't spoken since we reconnected, you know? And I'm like, what if he stayed a Scientologist and like, you know, is living out in San Diego? And I don't know. I mean,
Did he talk about his training? Like, is he clear or OT8 or something?
I don't know any of that stuff. All I know is that he said the best thing that our mother did for him was study tech at Scientology. That's what he said.
Right.
And so, and that was when he was a kid. So I'm like, okay, well, one of the kids in my family, because I don't know of anyone else that did any kind of actual studying or did Scientology. I mean, my father had to have, because he was, you know, probably looking for an escape from I don't know.
That's a very strong positive attestation to Scientology in their life. That I would be curious as well to find out.
I mean, I've had, you know, that's the first conversation that I've had with him since he was I don't know, in his teens.
Wow.
And he's 9 years older than me. I mean, and that's the thing is that Scientology, like, I feel like it was this foundation for a family who didn't care about family. I mean, I was on the streets when I was 14 years old, you know,
holy crap.
Because my parents didn't care about they were just like such a bizarre,
You think going by the idea that the Scientology idea that you were this
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I think they were going by that, and that's why you
I
found
really think
14.
And then I know, I mean, you know, I talk about in my stream, so I've already said it, but like, you know, a neighbor when I was 4 years old took me into our basement. It was a teenager. Anyway, I remember being taken somewhere. It couldn't be therapy because we didn't do therapy. You know what I mean? It had to be that I was taken to Scientology and there was like some dolls and I mean, I'm 4, you know?
Yeah, tough.
But I just remember coming out of that and knowing that I made what had happened to me happen. Like,
oh God.
That was something that and so the rest of my life, you know what I mean? Having that as a foundation, like of, it's.
Did your dad know you even had kids?
So my father, he did meet my oldest son. Each of my parents met my kids once. Well, my father hasn't met my other son, but and my mother met my kids one time. But I mean, I've had nothing to do with them. But okay, the other thing is that there was a point where I know they couldn't have been involved in Scientology anymore because I lived with them up until I was 14. And I do, because they must have left because then it was like they were cult hoppers because then they became obsessed. Well, I will say, I mean, okay, I should take that.
I never heard that.
They were into organizations, I'll just say. So we started going to AA like religiously. I mean, religiously. Like, so it was like we had to go there. But then I also always had to go to church. Like, my whole life I was forced to every Sunday go to this church. My mother was, I mean, if you guys might know the story Mommy Dearest, like that is my mother. That is Mommy Dearest. I mean, that is the person. So if you're not familiar with that story,
I'm not.
Joan Crawford there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
and her daughter and terrible amounts of controlling and abusiveness.
Like my house, like my mother was the cult leader kind of, and like because we would give shore stories, you know what I mean? Like my father, she cut my father's wrist. I thought it was with a butcher's knife when I was a kid, but it turns out it was scissors. And like his, you know, he has to move those two fingers together because the tendon, they had to attach the tendon together. And oh yeah, wire hangers. Yep, that was my mother. And so
Damn.
So we had to tell people that he fell out of a tree, you know, like there was always things like why we had injuries and, you know, so
oh man,
part of my wanting to bring light to Scientology and just cults in general is because it's so, you don't know when you're in things and when you're like this, leaving this relationship that I'm, you know, like you can't see what you're in when you're in.
Yeah, does a fish know it's swimming in water?
Exactly,
kind of thing.
Exactly.
It's the that you were raised in. So how could you differentiate it from anything else when all you know is that?
Yeah.
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 Wow.
Sorry, my convo didn't end up being as fun.
No, I'm fascinated. I'm absolutely fascinated, and it's such a trip for me because I haven't been able to see anyone really talk about these kind of things, too many times in my life, and especially before 5 months ago. So it's fascinating to me to see how other people digest and a lot of this madness and where they go from there. Because again, people have commented like on some of my streams, they'll be like, you seem like a pretty together guy and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, well, you know what? I don't have time left to be a shithead. I have to get my laughs in. I need some yucks. I gotta be happy with what I'm doing. And in some ways, coming from abject shit does support a healthier outlook.
One thing about your story that I was like, I know that the way that I was able to survive and now I feel like thrive in my life is because I did have a sister that was 13 months younger than me and a brother that, although he lived with his mother a lot of the time, was there, who was 5 years older than me. And so we were able to, but now it's so interesting because I was like, oh, I'm over all my trauma from my childhood, but I realized that we talked about it a lot, but that didn't mean we actually were working through it and like making the connections. We were just like, oh yeah, this happened to me. And and people would just be like I remember when we were hiking the Appalachian Trail together, we stopped and we were at this buffet, and we have all these hikers around us and it's my brother, my sister and I think I was like 20 at the time. My sister was 19. And so my brother was like 24, 25. And it was like, we're just telling these stories about the police being at our house all the time and about Scientology, just weird. And they're just like, what are you talking about? Like they were like, and they knew that we weren't lying. We weren't making it up because there's three of us, verifying the information.
God.
Yeah. I mean, a crazy story.
It is a first step to just have that index of what happened and to be able to talk about it. Some people
exactly
there
because then you can't have someone gaslighting you as badly. If you have also having older siblings that were out. I mean, I didn't really know my older brother, but my other older sister, I was able to see, oh, she's saying that this isn't right. How we're living and how, we're not parented and just neglected and all that. So,
Yeah. It blows me away how strong everybody is. And so those comments that I get regarding myself, I mean, I apply them to everybody else the same way without even thinking about it. Like I forget about, when you're listening to someone else's thing, right? You totally forget about yourself.
Yes.
Right. And it's like, and I'm focused and then I'm like, God, she seems fucking super together, and it just, but I think that has to be it. It's like we ate enough shit sandwiches for 3 lifetimes, so for me, like I said, it's pretty easy for me to police my happiness, right? I know what I have to have and what I need to avoid in order for me to be an effective, good person.
Mhm.
And it's, I don't think it's a lot different than other people, but at the same time, it's pretty it is pretty amazing that we're not all just staring at the wall, like, because people always give me that compliment and I'm like, what? But it's so true. Like, if we were all just staring at the wall and crying all day, like, you wouldn't really blame us,
Mhm.
uh
Yeah.
but none of us are like that, and I'm so fucking proud of everybody. I'm so fucking proud of everybody. Like, how the hell are we still alive? Like, we went through so, and then when I rarely like go to hear a stream again, but of course, with Aaron's, I rewatched it and it was tough, but and sometimes I do wonder, like, how come we didn't just crumble?
Yeah.
Because it could have so easily went that way.
Yeah.
But I'm really proud of everyone who, and I don't care if it's Scientology, right? I know I'm not here to compare traumas. Everyone's got them, and they're all legit, and they're all brutal. And any of us, I don't give a fuck what we survived. It's just so amazing to see us now on this path, trying to help other people not go through this shit. It's like so healthy.
Yes.
That is just so freaking wonderful to be able to put my attention and energy on supporting other people versus being pissed, at the world, or being introverted or whatever. It feels so good. And then, like I say, to see you smile and to see Alicia smile and everyone else smile, I'm so fucking proud of us,
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, growing up, I seriously, like, to me, I ended up going to Catholic school for 4 years. And I just remember, like, them talking about abortion. And I just remember being like, if I ever got pregnant, I would definitely have an abortion, because it's child abuse to bring. I thought it was child abuse to even bring a child into the world when I was younger, because to me, my world was so bleak. You know what I mean? Like, it was just.
That's why I never had kids. Exactly. I know exactly what you said.
But then I ended up having kids, and I'm not perfect, but I mean, when Alicia was talking about teens being this way, and I'm like, I haven't had that experience. My teens, because we have a partnership. It's not like I'm not some authoritarian where you're going to do as I say. And like, I'm not going to be a cult leader. I already experienced growing up with a cult leader. And I don't need to do that. And my kids, we have conversations. We don't fight. We don't, you know what I mean? My kids aren't like, I mean, they're boys, and they're, I guess boys are easier than girls. I don't know. I haven't had a girl. So, yeah, I didn't expect to
I bet you're much, I don't even know if kind is the right word, but it's like you are just. I bet you we are more just. People who've gone through shit, you just become more just. Hopefully, obviously there's a limit to how much crap anyone can take before they're going to be in a bad spot, but like.
Oh, hi, Rika. I saw Rika say my teenager is amazing. Yeah. My teens are awesome. Like, I love hanging out with them.
Yeah, if you come out the other end of something like this with your humanity intact, I find people that, whatever it is, a cult, an abusive family, a bad relationship, something that will teach you more about like the pain of the world and the human condition, you'll better know like the true cost of things in life, the cost of inaction, the cost of, not being kind to the people around you, like what all of this is. And I think it forces you to be less frivolous with those kinds of decisions.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I mean, I will say that now in hindsight, looking back, like, it's only, I'm almost 50 years old. And like, I realized that as a younger person, I was a bully, like in my own way. And it's like, oh, right, because I was bullied at home. And so I go out and bully. But then as I got older, like I remember just actually like having almost no empathy for people. Like it's almost like I couldn't. I would look at people and be like, are you fucking kidding me? You are going to get upset over that? Like I was so the opposite as I am now, you know, like, because I think once you go through enough kind of trauma, it's hard to hear someone talk about like, you know, something that in my judgment, you know what I mean, is like not really a big deal when everything's relative. You know, we all deal with, you know, someone stubs their toe. For one person, it's the end of the world. For another person, they're like, oh, whatever, you know. And it's not that the pain is different. It's just we've been given different tools. And I did not have the tools to deal with other people's trauma because I hadn't even dealt with my own, you know. So it's been
the experience of the pain is vastly different. It of any of these things, and it's easier to meet people where they're at. But if you know, as a kid, if you're going to act like how you're trained until you figure out your own way, and so I think we all, most of us at least, carry some of you know, our parents' bad behaviors or some of the bad ways that we were nurtured into the world until we can alter it.
Yeah. But I like the, you know, you hear all the stories. I've always heard the stories of like, okay, you're bullied, so you become a bully. But what I've seen in this movement is the other side too, which is like, you know, you were bullied, so now you the last thing you would do is bully someone else. You know, like, and how we understood all this shit is it sucks because it was all through pain, you know, but it's not that pain wasn't a good teacher either. Like, I mean, I learned, you know, I wouldn't recommend my upbringing for anybody.
Exactly.
but if it don't kill you, you know, you'll learn a couple things.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade my learning the hard way and whatever darkness that I've experienced for anything, because it's my window into being more empathetic and sympathetic for, you know, people's plight in the world. Really.
That's where we differ, because I would trade my entire upbringing for a cup of noodles.
Yeah.
The thing is like I look at I wouldn't trade it because it's like I totally lost my train of thought.
It'll come back. You wouldn't trade it because of what?
Yeah, I was selfless. You were talking. What did you just say? You said,
well, I
wouldn't trade it. I would.
Because, you know, because it informed, you know, my view.
Oh, I was going to say, because that's the only way I learn is the hard way. Like, I'm just one of those people that like, people can tell me things and I'm just like, oh yeah, okay. And then I find out, you know, and then I learn. And then I'm like, oh, okay, right. Yes. Okay. Got it.
That's funny.
It's just kind of how I feel like there's just people who are built like, just very rebellious and not, you know, not gonna I just have to learn the hard way. I have to learn for myself.
Yeah, I get that though. I think that's a lot of people.
Absolutely.
You know, but so.
Yeah, I love that painting behind you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's one of my favorite pieces I've ever seen. And the same guy who did that actually did a painting of my last cat, because I was really fucked up. I brought my cat in. This is not my two I have now, but my last one before that, and it had a little bump. She had a little bump on her butt, and I didn't know what that was, but I brought her into the vet and they said she had like 2 days to live. I'm like, what kind of shit? So I had to put her down. I was so fucked up. And he did a painting of my cat the guy who did this too. So
Oh,
It's-
nice.
there's so many amazing artists. I don't know if you know Gail. Do you guys know Gail Byron from the chats?
I'm not
Gail.
Yeah,
I don't
She's
know.
always around.
okay.
Anyway, on my drinks, joints, and crafts
Uh-huh.
tomorrow at 4:20, I'm gonna show what she sent me. Oh my god! Everybody in this freaking movement outside of me is a fucking incredible artist.
It's
She did a
I went to 8 years
watercolor.
of art school.
She did a watercolor. Okay, she took a still picture of one of my sunsets. Talk after the chalk, and she did a watercolor. Oh my god, it's insane! And she did
Wow.
a penciling. What do you call that when you do yourself a self portrait and pencil? Like, it's scary
Wow.
how good everybody is at something. Shit.
Yeah.
Just like Selfless. I don't know if he can draw anything, but he could pick up a fucking kazoo or drums or whatever the
know.
fuck and just
I
start
think I
rocking.
want to learn how to play the drums. I know I'm almost 50, but I'm like,
It's never too late.
yep.
No better
I'm
time.
like, I've always wanted to play the drums.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's been my primary outlet for most of my life. So yeah, no, it's never too late. And,
I mean, I'm always, like whenever I'm listening to music, I'm always tapping, like, and doing that kind of thing anyway. So I'm like, I should try.
oh yeah, it's just more embodied rhythm, and then you're
Yeah.
making it. Yeah,
Yeah. But I was just shocked by how good everybody is. We have like such kind, wonderful people, and it makes sense because who the fuck, like, if we were all mean, shitty people, why would we try to be helpful? Why would we be
this
helping
movement
anybody?
would have grown to what it is,
Yeah. absolutely.
If it's
Yeah,
because
and I think to stick in with something like this, with all
Gail
of the
Byron.
kind of tumult and kind of confusion and differences of opinion, it takes people of real heart and determination that actually care to burn through that. I mean, a lot of people will join these things. Maybe for them they see it's fun or fashionable or whatnot, and they'll get blown off by the first strong wind, by the first storm that comes around. And I am very excited for this next season because it seems like things are forming up and there's more momentum building behind us.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. This is getting it. I'm really excited. We're about to go get back to business, and I couldn't it couldn't be coming at a better time because I feel like I had a little rest there, and that was nice too. And I'm just ready to start killing on this again. But I wanted to thank you very, very much for getting back to me so quick and to saying yes to this, because that was really exciting for me that you this show was just blew me away. I mean, you should have seen when I told Selfless, I'm like, who we had this week, and he's like, oh shit, we're killing it.
Yeah, we
so
really fun. It's really great, and two wonderful conversations here, plumbing the depths of what it is to be exposed to this. And again, as a never in, extremely educational to get this perspective that I just don't have, and I will always be learning from this side, trying to keep my ears open.
Watching Alicia, I was like, oh, I wish I need to talk to her. Her and I have so many similarities. Like when she said that she was one of the only white kids when I started kindergarten and first grade. I went to an all-black school. There was maybe two other white kids in my class, but yeah. So, and there was just other things that she was saying that I was just like, oh man, yeah, like little rebellious, like, and like her language. I mean, growing up in a Scientology household, swearing is just like, that's English, that's like,
right.
Yeah.
I remember saying every, like at, 4 years old, saying every curse word I could think of. And very rebellious.
Yeah, I got growing up in a Scientology family, before I was ever even on lines, I got thrown off the playground, after you could stay like 2 hours or whatever, I think, after school, and then, playing, and then you got to get the hell out. But they chucked me out because of all I ever heard were curse words, at home. And it was like, so I had back then there was a saying, MFing, titty sucking 2-ball bitch was what the thing was. And that's what I literally got signed. And I couldn't believe it was in writing. They wrote down what I said. And I was like, oh shit. I didn't even get in trouble. I was saying the most disgusting shit I could think of because that's all I ever heard.
Right.
And I didn't even get in trouble. That's how crazy. That's how bad Scientology families are with curse words.
Yeah. Once I joined the Army, it was like, nothing. Like,
drill instructors don't say any more than Sea Org members. I
have to say that after, I was 28 when I went through basic training, but it was not hard for me because when you have the mental fortitude, when you've already, had to stand or just still be alive after stuff that, that I went through, it was just like basic training was nothing. It's just a mind game. You just,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for being here. Is there anything you wanted to say before you go? Anything you wanted to pitch or anything you want to promote? Or
I am trying to pivot. I don't know what I'm going to do with my channel, but I'm not able to just physically. I was like, it's okay for me to not go out and protest. Like there are protesters, and
of course,
mentally, physically, I would love to do it. And I still probably will occasionally, but it just can't be the main thing that I do in this movement. So
sure.
I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing next.
You know what you could do too? Have you ever talked to Fat Grammy, to Mona?
Oh yeah.
Okay. If I were you, I would I can get you in touch with her. Also, what's her name? Style One Audit or something? Style God darn it, what the lady in the wheelchair, that LA Audit.
I've seen her. Yeah.
She's got tons for people to do. She's a miracle worker.
Absolutely.
So is Fat Grammy. She's got tons of shit you can do that you never have to leave the house.
Yep.
And we need it done. I think Crazy Love is working on stuff too. But there's a ton of shit to do where you would never even have to leave the house.
Correct.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, and it is there. There's a lot more opening up where more people are going to be able to do a lot more without being on the street, and that's going to keep this movement going. So it's absolutely what we need is people that are willing to do the research, willing to do the letter writing, to do the calls, to do all of this stuff that takes time, takes effort, takes energy, and doesn't require being exposed to like a swatting call.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
It was good good fun, though afterwards a little too much fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, certainly. And you've got a story to tell, certainly. But yeah, the repeated thing, I mean, it's going to put the zap on anybody after a time. Yeah. So nobody should feel bad about having to take whatever time or pivoting to whatever they need to do. It's not what everybody needs to do.
Yeah.
Although it is educational. Maybe you should experience it once or twice, but even that, not for everybody.
Yeah.
And look at T in Perth Scientology Audit.
Yes.
I was on her show on Tuesday, I think it was. And Perth is the most what did she say? It's the most it's by itself. Like there's the closest city was Bangkok or some kind of shit she said, or somewhere. Like it's the most by itself city in the world.
Yeah, isolated.
Most isolated
City. Yeah. And but I mean, I can't even tell you what she has going on yet. But my God, I mean, so what she's doing in the most isolated city in the world is going to blow your mind. And so I'm just telling you, there's so much to do
Oh,
that
yeah.
you never.
And I mean,
it doesn't-
like someone wrote in the chat, that Jeff definitely what they're doing is amazing for the drug-free world. That is,
Yeah.
it's great. There's lots to do.
but thank you again for
Thank
being
you so
here.
much.
Everyone sub to AccuPunk if you haven't already.
Yeah, go
Make
do
damn
that.
sure you do. And
No, there's not much happening there right now.
it doesn't matter because there will be. And
There will
Check
be.
out those protests. Check out everything we've done because it's
Yeah,
great.
there is stuff
great
there. There's
material.
content to watch.
That's
for
right.
sure.
Yeah.
But thanks again for being here. I really appreciate you. And I'll definitely be seeing you later. That's for sure. Because we got more to do.
Yeah, I definitely want to show up for 420 art and drinking. I don't know.
Yeah.
420
Yeah,
and
it's
art.
called-
Damn.
It's called Matt MD Media actually named it, but it's Drinks, Joints, and Crafts, the DJC. And it starts at 420 on Friday. Just show up and we'll drop you the link. You're up on board. It's just a chance for people to land and enjoy each other's company in a safe place. And I don't care if you drink. I don't care if you smoke. I don't care if you draw. You can do nothing whatsoever. And you're welcome.
Zero to all three of those activities you could do. Yeah.
Do all three. But I mean, yeah, it's like, and I finished 3 pages in my coloring book. So I'm really kicking ass now. And I look forward to that. But yeah, you're obviously welcome. I hope you show up. But again, thanks for being here, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Whoa! You saying goodbye to me. That was a fantastic show. I mean, whatever with the Time Domain production, we had just amazing conversations with both of these guests.
How easy would that have been to go till 7:30 tonight? I mean, that'd have been so fucking easy.
Oh yeah, easy. Oh my God, absolutely, we could have. Absolutely,
that was 2 hours. It felt like 15 minutes for me.
Correct. Right.
And we didn't even bullshit. Imagine if you and me were John.
Yeah, we cut our BS really short. So yeah, we could have easily gone till 7:30. This could have been a marathon. But it was one of my favorite ones, and especially the depth of field that we got on kind of the growing up and how you were able to reflect back your experiences with both of these guests. I thought it was great.
It's just like a breath of fresh air for me, man. Every single person, I can't wait to meet more. On one hand, of course, I hate the fact that anyone ever had to go through any of this shit. Yes. But on the other hand, it's so liberating and wonderful, like for me to know that I wasn't the only one, eating shit. So it's just like, I don't know what that does to me mentally, but it really helps.
Well, it's overcoming. You're overcoming like this system that was meant to keep you like from having any of these thoughts, from having any of this connection, from any of you finding each other and being this effective. You're winning against all of that in each and every one of these interactions. That to me, that's what it seems like.
That's very well said. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's and I didn't expect to have any of these W's, right? Now they're piling up. So, I mean, I'm feeling really good about this shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm feeling really good about it.
It's amazing to see the progression.
It's incredibly liberating. I mean, can you imagine what the hell I've gotten done since Easter? This is nuts.
It is nuts. It is. Absolutely. And, I mean, well, yeah, if not for your bravery and stepping out there on the street the first time, like, what else would you have been doing and like filling that time with other things? This just became full time for quite a long stretch, and through, I don't know, one of the most brutal summers in the history of Los Angeles.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, I won't make that mistake again, but
yeah.
But like I said, I think you and I are sort of brothers in the way that we can take a hell of a beat and keep going, which is not good in a lot of that very rarely ends up being a good thing, you know. So,
and somebody done on the day, but you'll take a scar away from it.
Well, like I'm sitting there screaming at the screen, like when you were going through a hard one, and it was like 3 hours of 97 degrees and 140% humidity. You're basically treading water while you're chalking, and then it's like I'm like, wrap it up. Like fucking, it's enough. It's enough. This shit will kill you. It's enough.
Yeah, I definitely know when to stop when it's like that. Trying to push through to the next thing to feel comfortable is always the goal, even though it will probably break some part of me, and it would be better to leave and to take care of myself. It's
right.
Lack of recognition for this person actually being here.
Well, you know what I want to see when you are back, though? I want to see you go back to the like when you're playing your guitar and stuff,
yes.
and just singing funny songs and
yes, me too.
Anything that comes to your head. Like that was I thought you were like a much healthier, selfless protester.
You bet. I sure was. And it was just a season of like hits coming and losing those instruments in a car, and it just over and over again, it all piled up. And I wasn't clearing it off as much. And it made my protest more severe for sure.
But I want to see that happy, selfless.
Indeed.
Because I think that's when we come up with good ideas, and that's when we take care of ourselves. Yep. And all that shit that allows us to do well tomorrow,
Agreed. Yeah. The other way, just forcing yourself through kind of, some kind of difficult march. Yeah. You're going to burn out quicker. So, and I was aware of that. That's why I had the guitar out there. That's why I tried to cultivate that. And I just lost it after a time. So, and now I'm on a kind of timeout here until this court case is solved. But yeah, when it's back,
does the court case get over on the 16th, or is that just you're gonna find something out and then you got to go again, or is it
unsure? It could go either way.
Okay.
It's about a toss up for it either being decided. It could have been decided last time. I think my legal representation was fairly confident about our case. We could be able to wrap it up, although there is a fair amount of evidence, I think, in this case that still needs to be collected, and so that might be a live issue. But yeah, I'll have more updates on that, I think, on Monday.
In a week.
Yeah,
okay.
the day before, I'll say something to the internet, of what I can say about what I'm expecting to see on Tuesday.
All right. Well, that was a blast, man. I really love that show. Freaking awesome show.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that wonderful booking. Yeah. It made it just stellar. And
it's funny how that happens too, because it's pure happenstance, pure luck. It's like,
absolutely.
But we're bringing in the heavy hitting A-listers now, man. This is nice. I'm really enjoying it
for next week. And I look forward to this so much every week. And this one was just so fantastic. So yeah, looking to keep.
All right, my bro. You have a good one. We'll call it good. I don't see Pearl back there, but hello and goodbye.
She's around here, I think, with the dogs outside. But
okay.
Right.
But anyway, have a good one, and we'll do the same thing, same bad channel next week.
That's right. We'll see you all back here 2 p.m. Pacific for Thursdays at 2 next week, y'all. Be good till then. Bye.
See ya. Bye.